Welcome back, everyone, to Aspire to Lead, where we will be discussing the visions, inspirations, and experiences from top educational leaders. My name is Joshua Stamper, and you can connect with me on Twitter or on Instagram at Joshua_Stamper. Oh my goodness, Aspire to Lead podcast listeners, I have a treat for you. I have someone that hasn't been on since 2019, prior to the pandemic. That's how long. And Angela Maiers, you are such a special person to me because when I first started this podcast, I had a list of folks that I really wanted on the podcast. I asked with really no expectation, and you said yes, came on the podcast, and was one of the, I would say, like top 5 supporters of the work. And I really feel like just your message, you being on the podcast, really uplifted the podcast for other people and gave a little validity to the message. And I'm just so happy to have you back after 6 crazy years. I can't believe it.
It feels like we've gone through a lifetime in the last 6 years, hasn't it, Josh?
It
So
sure has.
I just want to say to you, to your audience who's watched you grow, for me who's watched you grow, I could not be more proud of you. This is hard work. You make it look so easy, like you whipping out this book and a new book and all of the work that you're doing, the amount of people that you've aspired and led, and you're just a model of the leader we should strive to be. So I could not be prouder. And I am shocked that it's been 6 years. I just can't believe it. And then now look at where you are 6 years later. So it's like joyful to watch.
Wow, you're making me blush here, and those words I don't take lightly. So thank you so much. And I would love to catch up. Let's hear about all the wonderful things that have happened the last 6 years, and what you're up to now.
Well, let's go back. At the height of the pandemic was the height of Choose to Matter, like right before. I was partnering with Microsoft for 5 years, and then I was partnering with Smart Technology for 2 years. And we were just launching the next phase of what I call changemaker boot camps, where we invited kids for a day and a half to use their genius to solve a heartbreak in their world. And it is probably the most awe-inspiring work I've ever done because it's so organic and you have no idea where the kids are going to take you. And to that date, when we started the first year with Smart, we had seen 31,000 kids live, changing the world in real time. And like it to go on a high like that, and then the pandemic hit and everything shut down. And I think it was like collective trauma. Like you're still, even though we're way past it, trauma lives in your body. And for somebody who gets energy, as we all do, from elevating other people and being around other people and watching other people aspire and grow in front of your eyes, to just be cut off like in a heartbeat. So I wasn't able to see schools, teachers, kids. I went through, quite as many of you absolutely did, a different kind of undertaking, because it's when you work alone, you see thousands of people, but you're alone and you're just sitting here like those existential questions. Oh my gosh, who am I without this? And do I matter? And not only what do I do from a physical, financial standpoint, but who am I? If this isn't my life, who am I? And so I think the world went through those existential questions, like, do I matter? Is what I'm doing worth sticking with, hanging around, looking at? So what was the pandemic like for you, Josh? I think it's still important that we talk about it, not to like drown in trauma, but to acknowledge what we went through individually and collectively wasn't just a little blip in the radar. It was absolutely life revealing on so many levels.
Oh, for sure. And I think, like you're saying, just a reflection as a whole, as far as the system, how we are able to shift through adversity as a staff, as a campus, as a district. Also a lot of doubt as far as what is the future going to hold, and is this our new permanent reality moving forward? And then for me personally, like just really soaking in the family time that I had, because as a leader of a school, as you know, like it's many, many hours away from your family. And so just really trying to enjoy the time that I had. And although it was traumatic and, things were flipped upside down, I did want to like just kind of be mindful of the space that I was in and
Yeah.
enjoy the time that I had with my kids. And I didn't know how long that would be, but
We didn't
definitely
know
like the
that.
positive side of it, right? The silver
Yes.
lining was that I got to
Yes.
enjoy my wife and my kids for
Yeah.
sure.
It made me, I guess, instead of, because I believed and lived mattering my whole life. And you would think that, like everything shutting down, I basically shut Choose to Matter down, had to let go of everybody that was working on it, that I would just give up on all of this. I would give up, but it actually made me double down to be on an even fiercer mission to protect and nurture and sustain mattering in our world. And I think from a positive standpoint, it brought attention to mattering that without the pandemic, that it wouldn't have, in terms of the world and the workforce, especially
Hmm.
as the Great Reset and quiet quitting and
Yeah.
everything in there. It's not that those statistics and those trends were new in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Gallup's been tracking engagement and the state of our wellness for a long time. But I think collectively, it brought to the narrative of the world what mattering is and why it's important. So I'm literally doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on its and importance. Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk about that, because in your experience, especially as a leader,
Yeah.
I know obviously you've got your You Matter movement, and you also have Choose to Matter, and we
Yeah.
talked about that quite a bit in the first episode,
Yes. Yes.
episode 37. But I really want to talk about just like the power of affirmation
Yeah.
and why that matters, especially for our leaders, and as far as like the outlook of performance, both with students and with staff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to position where affirmations fit. I'm not
Sure.
anti-affirmation, but so let me define mattering in scientific terms. So mattering is a biological, sociological, psychological instinct. From the moment we are born, our first act as a human being is for infants to twist their head. It's actually called the mattering instinct, to get acknowledgement of existence, like I exist. And if infants don't get that in the first minutes after birth and it is sustained, they fail to thrive. And that's really, really critical, because we're not talking about happiness. We're not talking about self-esteem. We're not talking about making ourselves feel good. I know there was a lot of focus on self-care during the pandemic. Mattering is in a different category because it is a biological instinct. So, two conditions allow us to create mattering in our lives and world. And the first is what that infant looked for, the acknowledgement of our existence. And so affirmations can play into that, because it's our own acknowledgement of our own worthiness that makes a difference. But it is also others' acknowledgement of our existence. So to matter, we absolutely need to know that we exist, that we're acknowledged, that we're not invisible and ignored, and that we have value in this space that we hold on the earth. These are immutable, inarguable truths. It's not based on where self-esteem is based on an outside force. Like one day you might have a good hair day, or you might feel better, or you might be up 20 pounds or down 20 pounds. And the world puts you in context where your self-esteem goes up and down. But worthiness or self-worth is immutable. It is an immutable truth. You matter, period, because you exist, period. So that's an important distinction, because so many programs are about making ourselves feel better at the moment, and they might succeed at the moment, but it's different than creating conditions of mattering in your life. You have value, period. Your worthiness does not shift based on outer conditions. So the way I explain this to audiences, to kids especially, is I bring in literally $100 bill and I hold it up You could do it with a 22, but it's more dramatic with a $100 bill. And you ask everyone, what is this that I'm holding? What's its value? Well, it's $100. It's worth $100. So its value is $100. How many people want this? They believe that it's value. They see its value. And then I take it and I twist it up and I stomp on it and I put water on it and I mark on it and I rip it and I do all of these things. And then I lift it back up and say, how many of you want this $100 bill still? Tattered and torn and beaten up and ripped in shreds and crumbled on the floor. They all raise their hands because value and worth do not change when something is done to it. And that's how I need human beings to see themselves, that you matter, period. No matter what happens to you, no matter how you feel, if you're feeling up or you're feeling down, it does not change your value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love the message.
Yeah.
And I know you work with a lot of folks and you do workshops and you speak and you do all these things. So I kind of want to dive into this a little bit deeper
Yes.
because obviously I think a lot of our leaders, they go through
Ups and
peaks and
downs.
valleys, right?
Absolutely.
And so when people are trying to rediscover their purpose or their worth or their contribution, what are some things that you do to help them, rediscover that, regardless of what you've gone through, beaten
Yeah.
up like that $100 bill,
Absolutely.
how do they get on the other side of that?
So I'm so glad you said the key word to the other condition of mattering, contribution. So we focus and we think, and it's kind of deceiving because you matter. It's all about you. It isn't all about you. It is equally, if not more importantly, about others. We can't matter without others. So the second condition of mattering, for mattering to exist, not only do you know that you are worthy and have value, your job is to use that value to impact another person. Because what really drives us as human beings, in fact, is the deepest driver of human behavior, is to be needed and essential to someone else, that our contributions are valued by another person. And so that's where this cycle happens, because people don't contribute. People don't sort of bravely take the risk to put themselves out there, to be, even to humbly share. I call it your genius. We don't share that with the world. But I tell kids, I tell 100-year-olds, someone in the world needs exactly what you have. And we have a moral obligation, a biological obligation to share it. And that's the part that separates the what I call self-care versus community care. So if we start thinking of community care, that we are all in this together. We all need each other. So every single person in our presence has value and has something unique to share that has the power to change someone in the world or someone in the room's mood and mind, which is why mattering has the most potential of all the human conditions. The Surgeon General has positioned mattering as a core pillar of world and workforce wellness for that very reason, because we have the power every day, literally every interaction, to create the conditions of mattering, not only for other people, but for ourselves. So no matter how low we are, we can pull ourselves through that, even if it's a moment, by sharing someone else's mattering, making that the priority, the otherness part of it, by saying, Josh, I'm really, really glad that you're here today. Your smile made a difference. Or just saying, Josh, hi, hello, and smile, because acknowledging your existence helps show that I played a part in your day. And it can be as simple as that. Smiling at people changes them. And it is such a stunning awareness to know that a smile is something that we crave, that someone saying our name, somebody looking up at us and not at their device. These little teeny actions create conditions for mattering to exist. And every human has the power every day to create conditions for themselves and conditions for others. And that's what I want them to understand. The hard part about the conditions is they're so common sense. I'm going to pull a Jim Collins, that common sense is not commonplace and not common practice. If it were, we would not have the world languishing. We would not have the world in pain. We would not have people aimlessly languishing in their lives, chasing some form of outside something that ends up leaving them empty. I just heard a study. I don't remember who it was from. I literally just heard on a podcast this morning that it was with college kids, like 12,000 of them, that the word that they used to describe their lives was empty. Think about that. Like that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
They're just walking around, going through the motions aimlessly, without purpose, without meaning. And that's what we have to counteract.
Yeah, that's sad, but that's the term that's being used. But
Yes.
I mean, after the pandemic, especially, like we were talking about before, I think a lot of folks were in a really dark place, and and some are still in that space, especially in education. The job has gotten more difficult for our teachers and for our leaders. All right, I want to talk about something real quick, Angela, that's in relation to, because after the pandemic, I made some life changes. One, we moved to Colorado, which has definitely helped we are.
I'm in Colorado. Where are you in Colorado?
We're in Colorado Springs.
Oh my gosh, I'm in Parker, south of Denver. This is ridiculous. We have to.
Yeah, we're so close. We have to connect now.
Close. Oh yeah. Welcome to Colorado.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've been here now it'll be 2 years here soon. The other thing was that I was going to change some practices as far as health. And so one of the things that I've done, and for my listeners, they've heard me talk about this quite often, about this mental performance shot that I've been taking, which is Magic Mind. And it's been helping with my mind, my stress, and then also my energy level. And this is not like something that I've replaced anything as far as like coffee or anything like that. But what it's done is it's given me all natural herbs, vitamins. It's reduced my stress, like I said, my calmness. I've really been trying to work on mental health. And I feel like this is one of the items that has helped and improved that. And for our leaders, I know when I was in the school, when I was running around the building, I was not taking good care of myself. Absolutely. And this is something that I really recommend for anyone that's listening. If you're aspiring or current leader, that's going to help you in your day, especially because it's very, very small, but it makes a huge impact, especially with the ingredients that are in there. And if you look at like matcha and some of the mushrooms and some of the natural ingredients that you will find in here, you're going to find all of the science that backs all the things that I'm talking about. So I'm going to put a code up for those who are listening or watching on YouTube, magicmind.com/ATLLT20. And that code I'm going to have in the show notes also for everyone. So you can click on it, and at checkout, you're going to get either 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchase with the code. And so make sure you're taking advantage of this, because it has made a huge difference in my life, both personally and professionally. So I highly recommend it, and hope everyone joins me in taking Magic Mind every single day. And as I said, it is a beautiful mental performance shot.
Josh, does it taste good? That's the question.
It does taste good.
Okay.
Even my teenage kids actually fight with me to get to it, because they actually not only like how it tastes, but also how they feel after taking it too.
Because a lot of stuff good for you tastes awful.
I know. Isn't that true?
Taking it, or you stop doing it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it for a lot of reasons, but taste is one of it too. So as people have been probably watching me drink this as we're talking, it helps me through these really important conversations. So, awesome. All right, I want to go back to some more of the work that you're doing, specifically with just enhancing ourselves personally. And so you were talking about earlier, like within that personal transformation, looking at contributions. I also want to know about coaching leaders. I know you do this work too. Yeah, and trying to be proactive when it comes to empowering those around them. So not only just ourselves as far as the personal transformation, but then also how we're affecting other people. So while you're coaching leaders, what are some of the steps that you recommend for them as they're working with their staff?
Well, first and foremost, that you have to live mattering if you're going to create conditions of mattering for other people. So mattering is how we show up in the world. And so that doesn't mean we are striving for happy. We are showing up knowing that what we do is going to have an impact, not might have an impact, is going to have an impact. It's funny, I've been doing a lot of interviews, and I always throw, especially in the business world, I always throw people up. They're like, so what do you do? And I go, I change lives and I change the world. They're like, that's so cute. That's just, no, what do you really do? No, that is what I really do. I really do. I wake up every single day knowing that I have the power to impact people. And I'm not going to waste a decision doing something that takes energy away from that. So that doesn't mean that I don't straddle the tensions that come, because getting a quick fix or getting a quick accolade or whatever it is, that is not the pathway to significance. I mean, I don't know how long it's been out, but you know, Jim Collins' book, Good is the Enemy of Great.
Yeah.
And we have so many good institutions, organizations, and very few great because we are striving for good. I think we have to look at mattering that way. Success is the enemy of significance. And I know that sounds very, very paradoxical, but I'm really, really looking deeply at that. Success in the way that the world defines success, success in the way that I see our kids, especially our kids, striving for it, where I see schools and leaders celebrating things that don't matter. And I don't mean that you have to give up testing and all of that, but you set the culture. You are the architect or the designer of how people are going to feel when they enter your space and leave. And if plastered all over the walls is, perfect scores and 5-paragraph essays with nothing, you send messages every day about what you value. It is important that you take a walk around your school as a stranger, as somebody walking in for the first time. And I want you to read the walls. I want you to stand in the spaces that our kids sit in every day, that our parents enter the building, because it is like water to us. We don't look at it from that lens. And I want you to actually sit in the seat of a child or a teacher during a staff meeting and ask, what do I feel in this space? And how do I feel? Who do I think I can be in this space? And what am I being pushed to be? And we've been talking since I started teaching 35 years about test scores don't define, we've got workforce data from all over that what you get in a test score does not define not only a productive and positive life, but it doesn't define a fulfilling one. So if we don't help orient young people, and this is way before we even talk about social media, we are pointing the world to fast, quick, insignificant things. If I get this many likes, if I get this many followers, we're all of these things that 2 seconds after that dopamine hit, we feel empty. This is why our kids are feeling aimless and empty. Our whole world is feeling aimless and empty because we are chasing success. If we chase significance, if we create conditions for mattering every day and we put others first, then it's a biological act. It all comes back to you. We call this state flourishing. It is the opposite of languishing, which is like driving around in a plane, just circling, not knowing, like, I'm in the seat, I'm here, but I have no idea where I'm going to land. Flourishing, the foundation of flourishing is mattering. It is about a well-rounded, healthy, well-lived life that is filled with meaning and purpose and intention. And I think we just go through the motions because we don't understand the power that we have in other people's lives. So when you walk in as a leader to your building, know that you are going to impact, that every interaction that you have is going to impact. And taking the seconds and understanding what impacts people the most, it doesn't mean it derails your day. But if I know that smiling and greeting somebody, that taking a second and setting down my phone, that starting a meeting without the data and say, like you said, like, let's catch up. Like, one of my favorite leadership exercises, everybody captures moments that matter on their phone. So I'll say, pick a moment, turn to a neighbor, like just pick a picture and talk about with a neighbor that picture. The room just roars with enthusiasm and excitement and laughter and love. And I time it, and it's like a minute that it takes, by starting with human beings first and what human beings need. Every human being, no matter what position, no matter what age, needs to feel seen, heard, valued, and essential. And if you can create those conditions as a leader, everything changes. Everything changes. So mattering comes first.
Well, I think this is a perfect segue, because everything you're saying is so beautiful, and it relates to everybody. Like you said, from a newborn all the way to the person that's 100, it doesn't matter. All of those things are so essential. And so I had the wonderful opportunity to see your new book, which is M is for Mattering. It is a beautiful illustration, a fantastic message, and it's a science-based picture book. And I would love for you to share to my audience about this wonderful new resource.
Of all the things, so this is what hit me, because there's so much new research on mattering, and like, I'm a research nerd, and so all of the science like excites me. And I know that the world doesn't need another research book. Like, we've got study after study after study. I mean, you've got the entire Surgeon General committing to a framework of mattering, and it's still not moving the needle. So I started thinking about, we cannot double down, or we can't control in any way something we're unaware of or we misunderstand. And I think that the world misunderstands that mattering is a simple inspirational message. It is a call to arms and a call to action. I am not saying you matter to inspire you or motivate you. I am saying it as a reminder that how you show up in the world is not only going to impact your attitude, your well-being, it's going to impact everybody around you. And if you showed up every day knowing that other people needed you, that they are counting on you, that they are blessed to have you in their lives, you operate differently. Just think about how 5-year-olds show up in the world, because mattering is so deep in our DNA. It's so pure at 5 years old. They run to school, right? It's not that bad things don't happen to a 5-year-old. They fall and cry, and they're mad, and they're like fighting with their sister. Like, you know, a 5-year-old's life to a 5-year-old is very stressful and very complicated, but they still wake up every day in awe of the world and blessed to be around other people, and not missing one opportunity to wonder and take in this miraculous thing we call humanity. They don't miss that opportunity. They show up in the world differently. We have been guided to show up in the world based on some outside force. If this went well, we'll show up happy. If this went well, we'll show up not happy. If this went well, bad things happen every single day. My son was in a major car accident last night, was hit by a semi, rolled his car, totaled his car. He is alive, and I have a choice to show up today. It doesn't mean my heart's not breaking, that I'm not terrified and worried, that I'm not going to get on a plane and fly to go see him. But I know that this conversation has the ability to impact another person. The goal of our lives, even though there's a lot of research on happiness, and I'm not anti-happy, the goal should not be happiness. The goal should be meaning and purpose. The goal should be deliberateness and awareness. So the book is 26 principles and practices of mattering, things to focus on, things to highlight, things to celebrate in ourselves and others, actions that we can take. Every single minute moment filled with one of these 26 things has the power to literally change your mood, change your mind, change your life and the world. And I am not underestimating the significance of those moments. But mattering is not something you just take a stab at or you stumble upon. It is a deliberate choice. So the goal of the book, the alphabet book, is to merge this science with beautiful art. And I'm so grateful to say that my son is a digital artist, that Google calls him a creative digitalist. So an artist first, but he works in the mediums of the web and the world. And so he did the digital art for me. And that was really tough for us because I didn't hire an illustrator. I hired an artist. And everything that I tried to dig into with his art to make it fit the illustration of the book, I didn't realize while we were doing it that I am basically telling him that his art didn't matter. So I learned a lot in the process. And I would love nothing more than like to give this book away to every human being because it ignites a conversation. And that's what we need first. We don't need research. We don't need a program. We just need to be reminded that life is about the little things to get through the big things. And I know all of this seems cliche. It all seems cliche. So I'm writing a guide with the research, with the actions of every single one of the 26 principles that are in the book and highlighted by each letter of the alphabet. So I could not be more excited to share it. I am self-publishing because this is a book of science. And so a lot of the words, they're words that are in the essence of something children can understand with an adult, can appreciate, but there will be a guide for parents and families and a guide for schools because they're not everyday words. Yeah.
So Angela, for this resource, specifically like the children's book and your self-publishing, how can people get their hands on it and where can they find it?
So I'm launching it at ISTE and I'm going to print some hardcover so that when I'm live with people that we can do book readings, we can, bring kids in, we can do family events. But the main source would be Amazon. And it's not up yet. It's literally in the formatting things right now. I gave you a preview copy and I haven't announced it to the world. So this is my first announcement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I can firsthand say it's a phenomenal book. I absolutely enjoyed it. Your son did a fantastic job with the illustrations. And as a former artist myself, our teacher too, I know how that process goes as far as what you start with is not what you end with. But I will say, seeing the end product is fantastic. And I highly recommend this book for everyone, any educator out there that wants to get their hands on it. So we'll make sure, and please, Angela, let me know when it's live so I can share that out.
Absolutely.
Because I want to make sure that folks get their hands on it. So as we're winding down, I usually ask a question about an actual item. I'm going to change it just slightly for you, Angela, because I really do believe in the work that you're doing. So for our leaders looking to bring the You Matter movement to their school or organization, what's kind of the first step that you would recommend them take?
So it's going to sound like a cliche. So if you're listening, leader, I want you to get out your phone and I want you to think of someone in your life that matters to you, that you appreciate, that you value, that you view as indispensable. Not just that you love, but that you view as essential in your life. And I know that it's easy to assume that they know that or that they won't be impacted if we articulate that. And then I want you to send them a text message, or if you want to write it, you can write it down. And I want you to tell them why. Tell them why. You matter because. And just let it float out into the ethers. Don't expect a reciprocity of that. And this is something that my kindergartners taught me 35 years ago and has probably changed not only my practice as a leader, as an educator, as a parent, friend, but all of my kids at 5 understood that they had something extraordinary the world needed to know, I needed to know at that moment at the same time. So I literally made a chart at that time, a chart of noticing and noting the genius in my presence. And so I divided the kids. I had 25 at that time, my second week of school, my first year of teaching kindergarten, and said, like, Josh, you 5 will be Monday. You will be awesome on Monday. And here's my promise to you. I will notice it and I will note it. And so I had a notebook called my noticing notebook. And I promise that throughout the day, Monday, you will know what I noticed and why it's extraordinary. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so it took, like, they were like, what are you doing? But I stuck to my promise. I picked 5 kids a day and gave them a half a minute. And it could be in doing what they're doing. You're not there to coach. You're not there to teach. You're not there to coddle. You're not there to correct or anything. You are there to witness who they are right now and acknowledge that brilliance and give them literally a front row seat to their brilliance. And that is what noting it in a notebook did, because you're writing something you noticed about somebody. What do they want? They're like, oh, let me see that book. Let me see that book. And it became such a precious commodity in our classroom that, let's say, Josh, you did something on Thursday. They came running in like, oh my God, Josh did something amazing on Thursday. He is wonderful. And he's not until Thursday and it's only Monday. Can we write it in the noticing notebook? And so it just became this group thing that we became wide awake human beings, that we lived and learned and operated in a state of presence. And I cannot underestimate the power of presence that you have as a leader. It is so easy to pursue something with such diligence and passion that you lose the lens of the otherness. We've got to get to this point and we've got to meet this and I've got to get this done by Friday. And I can't take that away, but pausing to be present with people. And the like cherry on top is giving somebody 20 seconds of your presence. And then the twist is if you can articulate what you noticed about them right now. We're so waiting to be coached on, we've got to do this better and do this better. And when and if and only we get to this point, then we will matter to that person. As a leader, we have a moral obligation to tell the people that we lead and serve, they matter, period. Right now, who they are now matters. And you are grateful that they showed up, their full, fierce, imperfect self. Because leaders without intention sort of represent where you're going, not where you are right now. Like, I need to do this to get the performance review, or I need to do this, or I need to add this. And even though you might not be pushing it as a leader, there is a feeling that they want to or feel they need to perform for you and they're not good enough. So that whole cycle of teachers showing up like, I am not enough, I don't matter, why did I even come today, is so rampant in our schools. And it is such a poison because they show up that way for kids and it just trickles down. So it starts with us showing up, knowing that we are needed, that we are essential, that without us, we couldn't make the impact that we're going to make. And we will make it. And this is the most important part about creating a culture of flourishing, is that we are here to straddle together the tensions that are going to come, the pain that is going to come. And with our wherewithal and with our resilience and with our courage, we are going to make it through. This is not about brushing things under or moving things quickly past things that have happened. Life is painful, and it is through our pain and our scars that we know we're going to come out on the other end. It's unequivocal. So this is what I call a mattergram. Send a mattergram to someone, and then I don't want you to just think about what they're going to do. Ask yourself, how did that feel? How did that feel? Taking that 10 seconds to pause, to be present, to think about others and what a value it is to have that person in your path in your life. And the total of this is maybe 15 seconds. You can do that every day. You can do that. I mean, I pick 5 people a day, and sometimes I don't make it, but I do that at minimum 5 people a week. And sometimes I catch up on the weekends, and it changes you from the inside out. You live a different life when you're on the lookout for humanity.
What a beautiful message and activity for everyone. And I hope everyone is participating in that as soon as possible. Angela, for those who've been watching on YouTube, I've been flashing up your website, but I also want everyone that's listening to connect with you outside of your website on social media. So where would you direct them?
I would direct them to anything that says @Angela Maiers. And so one of my trials and tribulations this last year, as I had a major breach of data, my identity was stolen and my content was hacked online. So I literally have been rebuilding with a lot of help from authorities, the FBI. It was a really major hack with a ransom, and I did not get any of my content or identity back. So I'm building up. So anywhere you can follow @Angela Maiers, I'd be just so honored, so grateful, and so appreciative to reconnect with my community, to add new members of my community. I'd be forever grateful. So I'm @Angela Maiers on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I still am not back on Instagram. I just created a new profile on Facebook so that it really is me. That would be great. I would love to connect with you. If you have any questions, you just tweet me or message me or whatever. And then it's Angela Maiers @gmail. So everything's Angela Maiers.
Yeah, as soon as I saw you back on, I think it was Facebook. One, I checked to make sure it was really you.
No, true.
And then 2, I was like, friend right away. So excited to see you back on that platform. And I knew, the struggles that you were going through. So I'm so glad that that's resolved to a certain degree. And for those who are listening, please, build that back up, connect with Angela. She's a wealth of information. She's got such a huge heart. And I think today you're evidence of that based on just the tragedy that happened with your son and you coming on here because you have that mission to contribute and to share that beautiful message that everyone that's listening matters and they are exactly where they're supposed to be, and they're influencing and making a huge impact on the campus and the district and in their role. And with that, Angela, I just feel so blessed to be connected with you. As soon as I jumped on with you, I felt so much better. This was a highlight of my day, and I'm just so grateful for you to be back on Aspire to Lead.
And my son, Ryan, my co-author, he would want us to be here sharing this work. So I'm so grateful for him. I'm so grateful for you, Josh. You keep leading with light and love, and you just keep moving forward. You matter, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. We'll see you on the next episode.